Have you can raise your hand if you know the answer to this question. Do you guys know? Okay, before that, yes or no question again in the chat box. Are plants living or non-living? Plants are living or non-living? Okay, if you say plants are living organisms, then are you guys aware of the characteristics of the living organisms? Do you know that every living organism has certain few characteristics which are existing in all of them? Yes? No? Okay. Who can tell me the characteristics of living organisms? Please raise your hands. Yes, Nanika?
Living organisms can breathe, move, reproduce, and
Can breathe, reproduce, move. Yes, you've covered a few. What else? Okay, Partha, do you want to add? She has mentioned breathe, move, reproduce. So what else?
eat food.
Okay, eat food. Eat food. Can we say nutrition? Can we say they take in nutrition? Yes. What else? Does anybody know anything else? Madhukari, do you know anything else?
They have a lifespan. They grow over time.
Okay, Madhavan?
Plants make food on their own.
Yes. Okay, but that you're talking particularly about plants, no, Madhavan? We're talking about every living organism. What are the characteristics of every living organism? Got it? Rian, what about you?
Ma'am, plants do not breathe, but in their language they can talk, they can breathe, but we can't listen their language, and they can smell also. They have leaves also.
Okay, Aparna. Now I'll take one more answer from Ayansh and then I'll continue. Yes, Ayansh.
They drink water just like we do.
Okay, so you're saying they drink water. Can we simply say they take in water, because drink becomes very synonymous to having hands and drinking water? No, so we'll simply say they absorb water. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So children, I want you all to remember this. Have you heard? I've typed something in the chat box. It is called Mrs. GREN. Have any of you heard of this short form before? No? Okay, so you can make a note of this in your notebooks. This particular Mrs. GREN, these 7 letters, they stand for all the characteristics of living organisms. You can always remember this name, Mrs. GREN, because they tell you about the characteristics of living organisms. Okay, so when you say M, it is going to stand for movement, right? M stands for movement. Now plants, I think you know that though they don't move from one place to another, they are capable of bending towards light.
It is not correct.
Erika, what happened?
Nothing, ma'am.
Okay, so yeah, so we're talking about, you all know that plants also do bend and they move. They move and respond to particular signals, right? So they're not able to move from one place to another, but they are capable of moving in their own way. So M is going to stand for movement. Does anybody know what R stands for? It is very close to, it is a process involved in breathing. Yes, Arya?
Reproduce.
Okay, that is one of the R's. There are 2 R's in Mrs. GREN. No, yes, you are right. One of the R's will stand for reproduce. There's another R. What will the another R stand for? It's a process which involves breathing. Does anybody know? Have you guys heard of respiration?
Respiratory.
Yes, respiration. I'm going to type it in the chat box, children, so that you don't get the spelling wrong. Okay, respiration. It is the process which involves breathing. Have you heard of respiratory system in your body? Yes, Anya?
Should we write it in the notebook?
Yes, please write it down so that you will always remember it. Okay, so your first M was movement. R, one of the R is respiration, another R will be reproduction. What about S? S is going to stand for sensitivity. Okay, children, S is going to stand for sensitivity. Have you heard of these plants which fold their leaves when you touch it? Have you heard of this touch me not plant?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, right. So that is why we're saying that plants are sensitive. Yes, so we're saying that plants are sensitive to signals, right? So that is why S will stand for sensitivity. And
Ma'am,
G,
that
the
are
next.
mimosa.
Yes, Aparna, very good. That is correct. And then G is going to stand for growth. G is going to stand for growth, right? Are plants able to grow or will they stay as they are?
They will grow.
They will grow,
They
right?
grow.
If you have a small, they grow, exactly. If you have a small sapling, it will one day hopefully become a big tree, right? So plants or any living organisms for that matter, if you're calling something as living, that means that it is capable of growth, right? Then we have discussed, 1 second, Madhukari, let me finish, then I'll come to you, okay? Then we have discussed that the other R is going to stand for reproduction. What about E? Anybody knows what E stands for? Again, it is something in your body. It is a process of your body that has to happen on a daily basis. Something that has to happen on a daily basis. You know, you eat food, but can you completely keep storing that food in your body? Or do you have to let it out of your body as well? You have to let out the undigested material, no? Yes, Partha?
Ma'am, excretory system.
Very good. It is excretion, right? All the living organisms excrete the undigested and the waste material from their body, right? So this is very natural. There's no need to laugh or feel bad about it. This is very natural process in biology and in science, right? So living organisms have to perform excretion. And then finally, I think we discussed already that N is going to stand for nutrition. That means we have to take in food, right? We have any living organism has to take in food so that they're getting the energy to perform all these things, right? So that is what Mrs. GREN stands for. And I gave you this short form because you'll always be able to remember, right? You can talk about, oh, if something is living, that is Mrs. GREN. Yes? So you always remember this term and then you will be able to remember the characteristics of living organisms. Okay. Yes, Sanya, do you have something to say?
Ma'am, what
Yes.
do it stand for the other R?
See, one R stands for respiration, another one stands for reproduction. Okay. All right. Aparna, sorry, Rian, you have something to say?
Ma'am, please repeat now. From R.
Sorry, Rian, can you repeat what you said?
Ma'am, please repeat from R.
From R. Okay, I've written it. I've written everything in the chat box, Rian. You can check.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Yes, Madhukari.
Ma'am,
Yes, tell me.
since there is growth in Mrs. Green, I want to tell a fact about growth in plants.
You want to tell a fact about growth in plants?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell it at the end, towards the end of the class? Yes. All right. Okay. Okay, so those are the characteristics of living organisms, children. So now that you have all of them down, you can relate it to plants, right? See, plants are capable of movement in their own way. Plants are capable of growth. Plants do reproduce, right? They do take in food. Now we said, do you think plants excrete? What about excretion? Think about it. See, we are saying that all living organisms have to perform excretion. And then you all told me that plants are living organisms. That means they have to perform excretion, no? Yes or no? So how do you think plants actually perform excretion then? Yes, Partha, tell me.
Latex and resin.
Latex or resin. Okay, good. Anybody else? Yes, that is correct, Partha. That is one way, right? See, children, whenever you're talking about excretion, it is basically removal of unimportant and waste things from your body, right? So when plants, they have some coatings coming onto their leaves, or even when they are releasing oxygen into the air, right? There, do you know plants release oxygen into the air for us to breathe, right? So this is also one way of excreting things out of their body, removing things out of their body, right? So plants are also able to perform excretion, but yes, in their own ways. It can either be in the form of some coatings that they're developing on their leaves or on their stems, or it can be removal of gases also, unimportant gases from their body. When plants are doing that, that is also a way of excretion that is happening from the plants. All right. Any doubts? Clear till now? All right. So now that we know the different parts of a plant, and now we will move on to talk about the functions of each of these parts. Okay, we'll talk about the functions of each of these parts. So when you spoke, I think many of you mentioned about the root. Do we know what is the function of the root? Yes.
Roots absorb water and minerals from the soil.
Okay, very good. Roots absorb water and minerals from the soil. And Animesh, what is the purpose of doing this? Why do roots have to absorb water and minerals from the soil?
They absorb water and minerals from the soil for the growth of the plant.
For the
Growth of the plant.
very good, for the growth of the plant. Yes, that is correct. And also, can we also say they help in supporting the plant, because roots are usually present near the ground. They help anchor the plant onto the ground.
Roots
Yes.
help fix the plants to stand firmly.
Yes. Now, children, you don't have to write this right now. We're only discussing. Like I said, when I show you slides, then you can make notes out of it. Okay. Then what about the stem? What about the stem? What is the function of the stem in a plant? What do you think is the function of the stem?
Sania, you are raising your hand. You can answer.
It holds the plant.
It holds the plant. Okay. What else?
Ma'am,
Abdul, yes. Nanika, wait, no, 1 second. Abdul, you were raising your hand. Okay, Nanika, you can. Okay, wait. Abdul, go ahead.
ma'am, it takes nutrition and water from the roots.
It
To
takes
other-
water from the roots. Very good. That is a very important function, no, of the stem. It is taking water and nutrients from the roots to the other parts of the plant. Good. Good, Abdul. Very good. Okay, Nanika, what about the leaves?
They make food from sunlight, air, and water.
And what is this process called? Do we know that? Do we know what this process is called of making food? Ayansh or Madhavan, do you want to answer? You both have not told anything. Ayansh or Madhavan, do you know the process where plants take in carbon dioxide and sunlight and water, and they make food for us or for themselves? What is this process called? Do you guys know? Do you want to
Photosynthesis.
try?
Photosynthesis.
Yes, but I was asking Madhavan or Ayansh, na? Yes, Madhavan, you wanted to say something?
And that process is called photosynthesis.
Yes, correct. Exactly. So this process is called photosynthesis. So we do know that plants perform photosynthesis, right? Yes? Yes or no? Okay. And finally, what is the function of the flower and the fruit of the plants?
Ma'am,
What is the function? Please raise your hands when you want to answer function of flowers and fruits. Does anybody know?
Yes, Aparna, please answer.
ma'am, function of flower is reproduction.
Yes, very good. Function of flower is reproduction, and after this reproduction, you get the fruit. Yes. So what is the fruit
Yeah.
going to help for the plant?
Nutrition.
Okay.
Making new seeds.
Yes, from the seeds, then you're going to get other plants, right? Yes, Madhukari, anything you want to add?
Birds turn into flowers, then flowers turn into fruits, and fruits have seeds inside, which then turn into new plants. This cycle
Exactly.
goes on and on.
Yes, so this is why we're talking about fruits, flowers and fruits together, right? Because both of them are helping in reproduction and then generation of new plants, right? So these are the different functions of the plant. So that now, so children, now that we have covered about the different parts of a plant, we have spoken about the general characteristics that it may have, and we have spoken about the functions. I will go through a few slides and we will recap on whatever we have discussed. Okay.